My name is Tom O'Beirne. I'll be one of your hosts this evening. I had the absolute honor of working with Julie and Steve at New Jersey Bell, Bell Atlantic, and Verizon as a contractor when they were the Building Engineering and Environmental Group. And as hard as they worked and as hard as they represented their company, they were always fair to the design professionals and to the contractors. I'd like to thank the people that worked so hard to put this together. Bill Ahman from M&E Engineers.
Hey, Bill.
Mike Candido from J. Mooring Company, and Chuck Rosencrantz from Premium Electric, who's not here tonight because he's sick. The first New Jersey Bell Telephone Company retirement party that I went to was in 1979 at the Schwabowski Ob in Watchung, New Jersey, and the building engineering group threw it for a consultant who was retiring, if you can imagine. And Eddie Orzechowski was the Master of Ceremonies. And to think that 40 years later, I would be here doing the same thing for what technically are the last two of the old group, it's quite an honor. In fact, Steve's dad gave me my first job when I went in business in 1983. And prior to that, when I got out of college, I went to work for Academy. And one day my boss said, take this over to the phone company and give it to Baldy. So I drove over to 650 Park Avenue, walked in and went up to Lou Parks and said, here, this is for you. A few months ago, I had to go for a stress test, and the building that I went in was the old Mountain Lakes Directory, the old Mountain Lakes District Office on the Boulevard in Mountain Lakes, one of the first buildings that was sold by New Jersey Bell. And I went in, and the doctor and the tech and the nurse were there, and I said, hey, you know, this used to be a New Jersey Bell Telephone Company district office. And they looked at me like, what does that mean? What does that even mean? And I thought, that's dead history, is what it really is. And a lot of people just will never understand what the phone company was like 30 years ago when we all started there. And just a couple of notes. In 1983, New Jersey Bell had 451 locations in New Jersey. And that didn't include slick huts, CEVs, or manholes, or phone center stores. And in Newark alone, there were 22 locations. There were 17 people in purchasing, 17 people in planning, 27 in support services, 78 in real estate, 60 in administrative services. Building maintenance upstate had 40, building maintenance downstate 41, building design and construction mechanical and electrical 23 engineers, and building design and construction remedial 19. That didn't include directors, managers, executive vice presidents, and all that. The company, it had a heartbeat. There were softball games, there were parties, there were Christmas events, there were canoe trips, there were camping trips, there were holiday trips, and every job meeting ended with lunch. And it's just something we'll never see again. I'd like to take a minute and talk a little bit about Steve. Steve grew up in Cedar Grove, New Jersey. He met his wife, the lovely Kathy Marchese, when she was in second grade. Steve, what were you, a junior or a senior at the time? They got married in 1988. Their son Michael was born in 1990, and their son John in 1993. They live in a beautiful lakeside home in the Face of Lake section of Kinnelon, the home of many great parties. Steve graduated Cedar Grove High School in 1977. He had an auto body business from 1978 to 1980. He got his Bachelor of Science in Mechanical Engineering from New Jersey Institute of Technology in 1981. His Master's of Science from New Jersey Institute of Technology in 1987. He worked for C.E. Loomis as a petroleum engineer from 1981 to 1983. He went to work for Egan Corporation in 1983 and was hired by New Jersey Bell Telephone Company in 1984. He worked in the Space Planning Group at 88 Horse Hill Road, Cedar Knolls from 1984 to 1985. When Bell Atlantic came into being, he was transferred to the Building Engineering Group at 650 Park Avenue, East Orange, where he worked from 1985 until 1988. With Verizon, he was an environmental manager at 650 Park Avenue in East Orange. In 1988, his office moved to 8 Hamburg Turnpike in Riverdale, where he retired in December of 2018. Currently a professional engineer in private practice. I give a big hand for Steve. I'd like to ask Phil Ahman to come up and talk about food homework.
That's a tough act to follow. and I forgot my notes, but when I asked Julie, she didn't really have a whole lot to tell me, other than University of Vermont, and then ending up in Park Avenue, and as a building engineering, then over to space planning, network planning, and then back to building engineering. When I joined, and I just have to say one word about joining M&E, I joined with Don Campbell in 1987, and Don just passed away a few months ago. But it was such an honor for me to be able to work with the people at 650. It's like one of the top, engineering groups in the world, right? It's the AT&T lineage, the high standards. It was just incredible place. It's a shame to see that now really gone, but the legacy lives on, I think. I think a lot of people in this room set standards that we still follow. So it's been an honor and a pleasure. And Julie, what a pleasure to work with. She's a professional engineer, a planner. She's and besides running all of her projects, she's the one who sent us the Verizon standard updates, the New Jersey standard updates, who managed all the record drawings and the fire code stuff, and she was the resource for the whole group. And so it's been especially a pleasure to work with her. And I'm so glad to see all of you here tonight. It's been a long time since I've seen a lot of these faces, but it's all along been a pleasure. And I want to congratulate Julie and Steve on their retirements, and hope they enjoy it, and hope they keep helping us, because we need the help. So thank you.
Appetizers and dinner are being served in the next room, and then before we have dessert, we'll have a little presentation, and we'll have Julie and Steve come up and say something. Thank you.